You guys can hear me? Great. So, okay. Hi everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. Now, before I jump into who I am and the traditional welcome or like whatever we generally speak out here, so I'd like to start off with something different, and that is, so I was just looking at the last 2 days when I was preparing for this talk, and there was this one serious question which came up, and it was haunting me a lot. So it's like, when I look at all of you out here today, what is it that the reason why would you want to hear about me speaking about my life? I mean, why would anybody want to listen to me talk about what I have done and things like that? So then I realized, I mean, of all the things that I've done and the places that I've been, most moving thing for me itself is the whole idea of how I take life as and how I have been writing down the journey of life myself, and that's one thing which I always love speaking on. So I'm 21 years old and I kind of connect with most of you out here, so it kind of feels good to be out like that. So this is the topic. It's about, don't just live your life, it's about experiencing it. Now, okay, there's this one thing which is, we are different. We are different because of the fact we come from different regions, different cultures, and very many differences that exist among everyone here. But there's this one thing which makes Indian society kind of Indian as such, and that is, we are more interested about what the other person is doing. It is there everywhere and every single part of the country that you move to, and that is, I am interested in what my neighbor's kid is doing, or maybe what my friend is doing in his life. So yes, there's this one question. So that's me when I was like this much, and that's me when I'm this much. So this is the question. It says, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now, how many of you out here have heard this question at least once in your life? I mean, just give me a raise of hand. So yeah, everybody has heard that question. Right now, most elders would expect me to say something like, oh God, I want to be an engineer, or I want to be a doctor. Wow, very good, nice answer. But then, that's not something which I answered, and this is a question which kept on haunting me for a very long time. So I heard this question when I was in maybe 3rd grade. So maybe around, I don't know how old I'll be, but then yeah, 3rd grade. So the society gave me a leeway of maybe 7 to 8 years before the question came back to me, and it was haunting me in a different way. The question was rhetorical this time. And the question had taken up different forms over the point of time, and it was like, so what do you think will you do with your life? That's the question, the same question, but it comes in a different form when I was in my 11th and 12th grade. And it also takes forms somewhat like, do you think you can achieve your goals when you work like this? Okay, so yeah, so that's the question. Now, how does all of this even matter? Like, why am I bringing up this question, or why about life and how do I take it, or what do I do with my life and everything as such? So, given the choice, when society is breathing down my neck and trying to tell me that you need to do this, or maybe these are the most conventional career choices that we expect you to pick up, or that's what people generally expect you to answer when they ask you this question. It's very difficult to actually listen to your intuition or listen to yourself and say that, yes, this is what I connect with and this is what I really want to do. So that's one problem which all of us face. We end up taking up career choices or things like that without actually realizing and knowing, are we really connecting to it? So, I was talking with my dad 2 weeks back, and he asked me one thing, and like he asked me that thing a couple of times before as well, and the thing is this. So somebody asked my dad, so what does your son exactly do? Like, okay, that's one of the most perplexing questions that my dad can possibly answer. So it's not that I'm jobless, it's not that I don't earn money. Yes, I have a job, I do earn money, and yes, I have a life which is pretty generic as well. But the thing is, it is not in a way that my dad can explain it to the society, and that's exactly where I introduce myself. That's my introduction. Okay, I have to explain this, or I will go back to this. So, yes, so she gave me my introduction already. So I work as an educational activist, I work as an entrepreneur, I work as a youth diplomat, and I also work, I don't work, I'm a Globetrotter, so I've been to 43 countries till now. And so that's the basic idea about my life and what I do. So that's my introduction right now. So I'm 21 years old, I'm only a graduate, but I'm not in the fashion industry. I began a startup back in the 8th grade itself. It was a big failure. I'll talk more about it in a small amount of time. Okay, so you see a lot of different things coming up on this, and it's not to say that yes, I've done a lot of things in life or something like that. It's about connecting with you and trying to share as how I feel my life changed when I started getting myself into different shoes, and the lot of different shoes that you see here, which has changed me as a person and has helped me grow. Now, it's this. So there comes a point of time in your life when you can actually take a leap. Now, when you're 30 years old, you have other stakeholders' dependence on you. So it's never late, but then it's always easy to take the leap early because you have the liberty to go out there, maybe make a mistake, fall down. You fall, but then you're not at a position where you cannot stand up. You are in a position where you can stand up and you have your parents or you have other stakeholders who will still support you to go out there, pursue different dreams. And that's exactly why I believe in putting myself in all different things that I possibly can get my hands on. Now, I'll bring you back to a story of my life when I was in 8th grade. Now, 12-year-old kid in 8th grade, what do you think will matter to him most? I was trying hard to fit in, and that's exactly where I started diversifying. I was trying really hard to fit in. I was not a topper in the class. I was barely making up to 80s and things like that. So, yeah, I was not popular at all. But then I realized, like, okay, maybe I can't do it in hardcore studies as such. Let me try doing something else. I started volunteering for this anti-drug organization, and it did something which I feared the most. I was trying to fit in, but that whole idea of being an educator for an anti-drug organization ended up putting me out of the school ecosystem at the end of the day. So yes, questions that were intriguing a 12-year-old, that is like, why do I not have more friends? How do I get more friends? Or one of the most serious questions for a 12-year-old is, how do I get girls to like me? It was not happening. So yeah, that question kept lurking about inside me. I ended up being a loner, but then over time I realized that I have a lot of time to myself which I can start putting out there. I began my first startup back in the 8th grade itself. It was a massive failure. I mean, I didn't have a clue about commerce, I didn't have a clue about starting up a company. I was just out there trying to build up a website and then okay, I'll become something. No, it did not happen. It was a massive failure, but then there were lessons to this, and the lessons were something which allowed me to build something back in 2012. I built something called CampusWriting. Some of you might have heard of it, some of you might not have. And in under a year, it had a massive growth of, we had around 1.5 million visitors a month when it was at its peak. And I had a successful exit in last year, May, June 2014. So, starting up and being an entrepreneur was just one of the things. And I realized that all through my life that I will not be happy or I will not be content by just taking up one choice that I might have stumbled upon. Starting up was for me by chance, and yeah, I liked what I did. But then I also realized one more thing is that, so I ended up starting up by chance. What if there are other things I end up doing which are by chance but are much more relevant to me, something that I love way more than maybe an entrepreneurship. So it was somewhat like everything that I stepped into, everything that I have done, have had a story which is not really conventional. So there was this point of time, there were 100 other kids with me. We were watching the movie called An Inconvenient Truth. Heard of the movie? Okay, great, I see two hands. So yes, it's about climate change, it's about what happens, like this disaster, that disaster, things like that. So yeah, 100 other kids along with me, so 101. So we all were watching the movie. Little did I know that the next couple of years I'll be running out there trying to make people aware of what climate change is. I'll be getting to meet Gore, I'll be getting trained by him, and like today I'll be working alongside Gore as a mentor trying to train other climate leaders. So that's another thing that I stumbled upon, and that happened just because of the fact I was not scared. I was not scared to make a mistake. I knew I was not really acing up my exams. back in college or things like that, but I knew that there are other things just like beyond the whole understanding of what a conventional career can be. I mean, there were these points of time where I thought to myself, like, what am I really doing in life? Am I really taking a path which I am supposed to take? These questions still haunt me. But then I realized that the opportunities and the options that have opened up to me by being able to pursue my dreams and pursue certain fields of career which are considered non-conventional has really helped me grow as a person. So yeah, now many of you might be having this question, like, what motivates you, or maybe how do you actually keep yourself going? Yes, I mean, my parents regularly question me, so Ankur, what do you exactly plan to do after a couple of years? So do you plan to be like this? I mean, in other words, I am a hippie for the generic society, not the conventional one, but that's what they say. But what is my answer when a question comes, exactly where are you going, or where exactly does this path lead down to? So my answer is, I'm still figuring out. I'm 21 years old. I have the liberty to figure out if I know that I'm not going wrong. I have the liberty to figure out, to find out that missing piece which I would like to do for the rest of my life. And I believe that is way more important. So coming face to face with challenges also presents you with some of the biggest and most moving experiences that you can possibly have. So this was a picture with Malala back in 2014, last July. So meeting her and getting to know her personality on screen was two different things. Now, when I got to meet her, I realized, so I was doing the Teach for India fellowship when I met her. So yeah, I had an inclination towards education, maybe, but I never really connected to it. I was doing the fellowship because of, maybe it was tough to get in, or maybe it was considered a privilege. So I was doing a fellowship, but then I met this young woman, and I saw the problem of education through her eyes. Why she would stand out there and take a bullet for the whole idea of saving up a school. It might not sound that big, but then there's a whole deep meaning to it. And the meaning which I saw through her eyes allowed me to understand, was I really doing justice in the fellowship, or was I really doing justice in going out there in a field like education as such and understanding the problem of education system in the country. So yes, I mean, problems do come in. People question me repeatedly, and every time I take a different leap. So I dropped out of the fellowship last month, and the same question started coming up again. Like, why are you doing this? You are shifting gears every other time, and never is it that you have a continuity in any career path that you take. But then the answer is this: have I really found that career path wherein I can have a continuity? Do I really know that I want to do this for the next 40 years of my life? So the calling came at a point of time which was there all through my life, but I never really realized it. Traveling is something which affects everyone. I have been traveling since 12 years old, and it has been pushing me, but little did I take a notice of it. And when I took notice of it, I realized that it was that missing piece of puzzle in my life which actually moves me. It's that idea of motivating yourself. How do you do it? And you go out there to find out opportunities which will allow you to do this again and again. So I realized that I have been putting myself into places, discovering opportunities which allows me to, or which presents me with this idea of traveling out there. So yes, when you talk of non-conventional ideas and non-conventional career options, there comes a lot of problems, and the problems are not just limited to the society or your neighbors who are trying to get an idea of what exactly Ankur is doing. But there are other problems. People don't connect with you. People don't understand exactly what you are trying to do. People don't understand, like, how exactly will you have a life after all of this. So yeah, one of the biggest examples, I broke out of a relationship like 8 months back, and the whole idea was I got to listen to this. So you travel a lot, because of which you don't have time for me. I mean, really, is that a reason? So people don't connect with you based on that. I mean, okay, that's funny, but then how can you tell me that and you can break up with me because of the fact I'm traveling a lot? So that's just one of the extreme cases, and it's really hilarious in one way. So yes, okay, just give me a second. Okay, so talking of role models as such, so all through my travels, the kind of people that I meet, so most of these are people who are acing up their specific fields. These are people who are in their early 20s or maybe 19 years old, who are really doing it good. So I met this person called, just Google it out, it's called the backpacker intern. I don't know if you have heard of it. His name is Mark, he's from Netherlands, and he's known as backpacker intern. He's working in Ogilvy and Mather, and he dropped out of the job back in January 2014. By the end of 2014, he had been to 26 countries. He had worked as an intern in Antarctica, he had worked as an intern in the Buckingham Palace, he had worked as an intern in some of the places that you can't even imagine going and working out there. So what is it? It's that leap that you took which allowed you to discover something that you love. He loved to travel, and he took that leap to understand that yes, this is something that I really want to do, and if I really want to do it, I should actually go out there instead of pushing myself back and trying to question it every time like the society does it. I mean, obviously the society has been continuously questioning my choices, my family's choices. Let them do it. I mean, that part of the equation is already being taken care of. Why don't you take care of the other part of the equation? That is what exactly it does it even result in. Okay, so when I look back, it's not about the array of things that I have done. I am not trying to tell you that okay, I did this and this. Okay, I have done a lot of things. Nothing like that. It's about the fact that I am writing out a story of my life, and this is the story of my life that I have a power upon. And when somebody asks me, like, Ankur, tell me about yourself, or maybe I was having a conversation out there with some of you, so I know that I will not run out of words when I have to describe my life, or I will not run out of instances which bring a smile to others' faces when I tell it to you or tell it to them. So the whole idea of finding a meaning in your life or having an experience in your life should be endless. So, okay, so this is where I stand right now. Something which really motivates me and something which keeps pushing me is this number, the idea of going to 43 countries and 5 continents. And my calling is this, that is, go and find out opportunities which will allow you to finish off that number. I want to travel to every single country that is out there, and meeting people who have done this at an age younger to me is in a way shock as well as a motivating factor for me. I realize that if they can do it, why not me? What is it that is pushing me behind and not letting me go ahead? That's when I have my reflections and go find out different opportunities, take a different leap, and that's what happens. So this is where I started. So that's a place in Assam. It's called Duliajan. I don't know if you have even heard of it. It doesn't even turn up on Google Maps. So I was born and brought up there, and so 21 years down the line, this is where I have been. And this map is one thing which reminds me that I am happy in whatever I am doing. The story that I am writing for myself is something which is not just affecting me, but it's also serving as an inspiration for people who are out there and trying to do things. They're trying to take up a leap, but then maybe the society is not that helpful, or maybe it's not that easy for them to do so. So it might all look like a midlife crisis. Yes, it ends up being a midlife crisis, but trust me, this midlife crisis in your early 20s can actually open up a world of opportunities for you. So everyone out there, if you have a friend or anyone close to you who is struggling through a midlife crisis, support them, because of the fact maybe they are doing something which is really meaningful to their own lives, and that is something which will allow them to find that missing piece of the puzzle in their lives which they will want to do for the rest of their life. And I'm happy about the fact that I'm still discovering, I'm still chalking out a plan, I'm chalking out a story which I can look back years from now and realize that it did affect a million lives